Hello everyone, and welcome back to the Create Survival world. And it's a little while since we have been here. I can't say I've done a huge amount. In fact, I've done remarkably little, if I'm 100% honest with you. But I have done bits and pieces here and there. First of all, I'm sure you have noticed there is this building right in front of me. It doesn't actually have any practical purpose. I just felt like doing a little bit of building. The whole purpose of this is just for these guys. It is just to keep them in the area. They can wander out, they can get free, they can come out through this door. Entirely up to them what they do. It's just a way of keeping them here with some workstations, and then up the top I have popped in a few beds just in this room. Only 3 of them because I don't want to end up with the place crawling in villagers. So it's just a sort of aesthetic little building that can just sit there and look pretty up one corner without actually doing anything of any function. The other thing I've been up to is I have installed a bit of a wetland down here where we're by the coast. As you can see, again, it's got no function, this is purely decorative, but it just gives us a little bit of a transition between the deeper water as we come up into the land, somewhere where more plants are growing to be growing. One thing I do need to do is I need to go through here and knock off a few of these at different heights, I think, and then put some string over the top of them so it's not quite so uniformly every single one of them is 3 blocks high, sort of thing. It looks like someone's come through with a pair of scissors at the moment and cut them all off at the same level. And that'll hopefully make it look a little bit more wild and a little bit more untamed compared to the more sort of manicured and managed plant life that we've got going on up at the top. I want this to look like it seeded itself naturally and it's just being allowed to grow and do whatever it wants to do. In which case, you cannot have everything exactly the same height. Sort of like that. I think that's going to look a little bit more natural. Maybe some of them cut down more to 1 level rather than everybody being at 2 or 3. But you get the idea. And I think that is about it for all I've done around here. Just a few bits of aesthetics really, nothing really of any major importance. And that's something we need to change today. It is about time this village started fulfilling its function, which is a place which is going to provide us with all of the crops that can be grown, everything that can be sort of eaten or farmed or anything like that. First thing though, I really need to go to sleep. So let's just have a little look at the area. So there's the island over there, but this is all of the space we've got around us for growing the different types of crops in Minecraft. And there are loads of them, so all of this space is going to get used up at some point. Now this little section of land just here, I am saving this for building a warehouse, which is going to be where everything is transported via the train line, which you can see there going off towards the island. So this is out of bounds, this can't be used. Everything else though, so from this little sort of cliffy section just there, right the way around the back, all the way over there, this is all prime land that we can use for growing our crops. Which of course will be automated because that's just going to make our lives an awful lot easier. So these are the crops that I can think of that I think are going to be sensible for growing around here. It's all of the field-based, I suppose, different crops from potatoes through to cabbage and tomatoes. We've also got pumpkins and melons. Kelp's a little bit more challenging, that's going to have to be grown out in the water somehow. And then the others, there are a couple of them which are a little bit different, so brown mushrooms for example, and also apples, they're going to have to come from trees. But this is just getting an idea of everything that we're going to be able to farm in this land, and I think it's going to make most sense to start off with the field stuff and get everything laid out so that we can tell where these crops are actually going to be able to go. Okay, so having a little bit of a think about this area, what we've got going on, what the kind of world is like, this is clearly a very fertile piece of land. They've got lots of flowers, lots of crops, lots of general plant life growing up. Everything is lush and green. It is a good place to be growing stuff. And I don't want to be having absolutely fields and fields and fields and fields and fields and fields of wheat. I don't want it to start looking like I am growing some kind of monoculture around here. So what I am thinking is we're going to have windmills, because windmills always look good in a farming area. But instead of being used to grind down wheat, what they're being used for is to pull water up to this area. All the water's quite low down, and this is quite a steep and hilly sort of landscape. So I think what they will be doing is they will be using windmills, pull water up from the groundwater down below, and then have a sort of tiered irrigation system in order to feed the crops all of the water that they need. Does that make sense? I think that makes sense. I think this is the sort of thing they will be doing around here. They're not going to be making 6 tons of bread, they're going to be growing everything. So we're going to make our windmills functional, but not in a grindy wheat kind of way. And I also think there's going to be 2 of them. So I could put a windmill up here on this hill, and then that'll be able to have an irrigation system that flows down in this direction, feeding all of the crops water here. And then I can have another one just here as well on this hill, doing exactly the same for off this edge. So this area will be where all of the crops are going, 1 windmill there and 1 windmill just over here. And that should also mean that anyone coming up from the docks from over there, when the docks get built, at the moment they're unbuilt, and coming around this path up here and coming up into the village, the first thing they should see, will be a windmill just up there. Hopefully. That's the plan anyway. Let's get it built and see how it's going to look. And there she is, one little windmill perched right up on the hill. And different, definitely different for this area. I decided to go for this sort of blade style of windmill fan blade things. What on earth are the fans on a windmill called? I have no idea. These thingies that stick off, these big stales that actually make the thing go round. I decided to make sort of scythe shape because I thought it suited the farming area that we're in, for it to be a little bit more curvaceous, a little bit more of character to it. Also, I've tried to make it out of a similar looking materials, all of these bricks and that sort of thing that would be used over on the island, because I've got a funny feeling these guys probably wouldn't be making something so technical. It would have been them who came over here in order to build this for them. But at the moment, I think I like it. I'm like 40% on this as a design at the moment. I know I want to make 2 of these windmills, but until I'm 100% settled on this, I think I'm going to let it sort of bed in a little bit and look at it and go, do I like you? Do I think you need something more up at the top? Do I actually like this shape? Certainly, though, it is something I am not quite settled on yet. I think I like it. Do I like it? I think I like it. Either way though, this is how the whole thing works. So obviously we've got the windmill up at the top. That's going to be taking wind, funnily enough, as it comes in off the land. And that is going to be powering this wheel just here. Can I get up there? Whoop, whoop. That wheel is then going to be turning, and that's going to be drawing water up from underground, which is then going to fill up this trough just here, which is going to be the start of where we're going to have some little sluice gates where we can open up and let water flow out and irrigate all of the crops, which are going to be off in this direction. First thing to do though, let's get that windmill actually turning. So, because this is actually a backwards windmill, it's actually the windmill is powered by the water wheel. Don't tell anybody, the law is completely broken there. Whoop, nope, I can't jump up there. The reason why I've done that is because of the shape of this and the materials that it's made out of. There is a mechanical bearing up there turning the blades rather than a windmill bearing, just so that it works. Whoop, there we go, we are in. So if I set you off, you will move my water wheel, and then the water wheel is going to move those ooh! Ah. Or methinks it might have run out of super glue as it was sticking those blades together again. Right, okay, let's fix that up. So what I need to do is I need to get that water back out again. And if I just keep an eye on the blades and take it out at the right time, I need to catch it just as it comes around the corner. So that's a whole blade. If I take it out now, hopefully that's stopped it in the right place. Yes, okay, right, let's have a look. That should be in the right area. Yeah, okay, right, let's go and get some super glue. Hopefully I have got some super glue in here in my tools box. That is in there. Nope, in there. No. Ah. And funnily enough, of course, I haven't got any flattened iron. Yay! Right, back to the island. Because at the moment I'm doing that thing where you're not quite living in any one base, you're kind of between the two, and I've got all of my crushing stuff over there, and I'm hoping a slime ball over here as well. Ah, here's something else that I did as well. I have built up this other side of the tunnel, and just really annoy myself, I made it 1 block too high. That was so annoying. All of this needs to go through. You can see where it's kind of Z-fighting a little bit there because the blocks are still one on top of the other, because as soon as I realised I'd done that and put it 1 block too high, well, I went into sulk mode. And once in sulk mode, it is of course completely impossible to do any building at all. Right though, super glue has been procured. Let's go back and stick that windmill together. Right, so back at the windmill, let's pillar up and see if we can see what the super gluing is up to up there. So hopefully if I go up here, we should be in line. Yeah, that looks pretty good. Okay, so let's have a little look here so we can see where that blade is pretty much all super glued together, but this side is looking really strange. In fact, that is the only bit that seems to be randomly connected onto nothing. And this is simply because it's the schematic that's tried to glue this together, and it just doesn't really do a very good job all the time. But if we glue you lot together, and I'll glue you in there, and I'll glue you on there, so you're definitely involved in all that. And then we'll glue that patch together. That all looks good, and then we'll go over here. Bump, bump, bump. A bit further. Right, so where were we up to? So we've gone, this is all glued together, this is all glued together. Let's have from you down to there, and then stick that lot together. This is probably like the most long-winded way to glue anything, and then you on there. That, and you on there, because why not? Does that look like everything is covered? Yep. Yeah, I'd say that looks pretty good. There's a completely random box up there. Let's go and get rid of that just so that it doesn't cause any problems in the future. So we'll pillar up to... Where was he? There he is. Pillar up to him and then left click. Boop, and that will just get rid of that one so that nothing can ever get randomly stuck in there. I think we are looking good though. Right, let's take all this scaffolding down and then go and activate it again. And hopefully this time we're not going to leave bits behind. Okay, back down the bottom. Everything still looks good. Let's set the water back off again. Hi-yup. And hopefully now everything is just turning nicely. Hey! Ha, not too bad. That looks all right. Let's have a little look at it from up the top. Make sure everything is moving and nothing is randomly connecting. Ah, well done. That's stuck together pretty well. Wow, what do I think about that? That is definitely different for your average windmill. And the question is, does it look good with everything else that's in this village? How does it look from down here? Well, it looks okay. How does it look from right down here so we can see houses with it as well? It's definitely not 100% in keeping with the area. It is a little bit different. I've tried to sort of tie it in like the people who live here. They've tried to paint up the base to match their own style, and then that matches more of the island. And it certainly stands out up there as you come up from the docks. Oh look, there's a windmill up there randomly turning. I think what this needs to help it feel a little bit more settled in is to get some of the terraining done around it. So I need to take this path around here. So there it's splitting off to go into the bee greenhouse. From here it needs to split off in this direction and then go up there alongside this greenhouse, which actually will work out quite well, because if I come up here you'll notice the terrain is an absolute mess here down behind these bees. This all needs to be cut out anyway, so if I do that and then connect it up to the windmill up there, maybe it'll feel like it's a little bit more part of the landscape and a little bit less just sort of plonked there from another world. What? Ooh, let's not go in there. But I'll do that, I'll make it look a little bit more settled into its land, and then I'll come back and we'll have a look and see if we think it should stay or if those blades need to get changed for something a bit more, I don't know, squarey. All the other ones look like this. They're all sort of just little square blades, they're always upright, and then there's that one that's just so different. I don't know, maybe I'm completely overthinking this. Either way though, terraining first, thinking later. Okay, so it has now been a few hours, a little bit of terraining has taken place, as you can see, and I've also had a bit of time to sleep on this. It's the next day for me, and I think I'm used to it. I think it's okay. I'm used to seeing this shape and I think it fits in better than I originally thought. I still think it's unusual for the area, but it's not so unusual that it looks alien. But anyway, what has happened? So I have split the path off just here, so it's now going up in the direction of the windmill. I'm leaving this little area here just as it is. Do you know, I actually really like this original Minecraft shack that's on the side of this mountain. I think I'm going to keep this one indefinitely. I think it's kind of cute. The only thing I might do is maybe mix in a little bit of some different stone, and it's also a very convenient place for putting Spot whenever I come up here on the horse. So, I don't know, I kind of like this one. I think I'm going to leave it just there. Anyway though, so back around the corner we go. I've added a little bit of a staircase just so that we can easily get up to the windmill. You can see I've not done the terraining too much around here. I'm undecided whether or not I like this gully, just because it makes quite a nice little tunnel running all the way through to the other side, coming alongside the bees, and I do quite like the way it leads down here into this sort of blunt little dead end of a cave that's still an interesting feature. Maybe I can pop something in here as well. So it's looking like I'm leaning towards keeping the gully, and I might just put a bridge or something going over it so that it stays there. It's just not quite so likely that I'm going to fall into it and die. But back to the windmill. So the path splits off, we come up to the top, and then we've got two choices. So we can either come along here, along this path, which leads us towards the first of our fields, which I know 2 minutes ago I said I wasn't just going to make a load of wheat fields, and now I've gone and made a wheat field, but still, it's what I had the most seeds of, so it's what I've gone with first. And then buried in the middle of this field, we've got the first of our harvesters. So, whoop, this is the same as our usual harvester. The only difference is this one is 9 blocks long, so it's covering a much wider area of just here. And if I hop up above, you can see that harvester there is going to be able to cut down all of the crops around here, but around the edges there should be just enough space for there to be wheat that can grow up that won't get cut down, so that the harvester is always going to stay hidden from wherever you're looking at so long as you're not directly above it. I don't want this area to start looking really mechanised. I want it to be automatic, but in a hidden way so that it still looks nice and rustic. And I've just slept because it felt like death was rather imminent if I'd hung around here. The other thing which I have done is down here, I'll just dig through there, I have installed the mechanism for that harvester that's just above. So it is just up there. There is its little mechanical bearing, and this is what it's running on. So we're going on a single small water wheel, and if I just hop around here, there is our water wheel, and then it's been slowed down twice by going from a small cog to a large clog, just to make it go slower and slower and slower, as slow as we can get it to go in this little space. And the next thing this is I do not want these running all of the time. Again, because I don't want it to look too mechanised. So I've installed a little redstone link here, which is attached to this piston. When this piston is then deactivated, what it'll do is it'll pull away that block and it'll activate this water stream. And I'll just hop back up there and I should be able to show you that one, because the activating mechanism for this is going to be inside our windmill. Ow! What did I just jump on? You! God, you're badly placed. Right, okay, so back to being inside the windmill. So if we just run up here and we go inside, it's not in any way decorated. As you can see at the moment, there's where our power is coming from the water wheel up to the windmill itself. And here is our redstone link. So if I now deactivate this, boop, just like that, we should see that our harvester has set off. Oop, oop, oop. Oh yeah, there we go. We are currently transferring, and there it goes. Oh, you worried me then. I thought you'd broken for some reason. Right, let's have a little go around here. Trying not to break things if we can help it. So now going in should be, yeah, there you go. So you can see where the piston has pulled that block back, activating the water so that that can set off. And that's going to be a nice, easy way for us to control all of these mechanisms. Every single farm that we put in is going to be activated by that one switch, which is inside the windmill. And that's for 2 reasons. The other reason why I want to be able to switch it off is not just because I don't want it to look too mechanical, it's also because this is a very efficient farm because of its size. So at the moment, as that harvester comes round, it is depositing all of our crops and seeds here, and they're just gathering up in this barrel. As you can see, I planted a single tomato in there at some point. It's also gathering them for us as well. But what's going to happen is all of these crops and things, everything that goes in there, is going to be gathered into a central point, bearing in mind we're going to have about 10 farms around here. So what these are going to do, if I just eat some steak so I can run. Yum, 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 yum. Steaky top up. Right, so if I come around here, what's going to happen is all of these crops are going to be filtered down. They're going to come off the land down here in a single system. There's going to be a larger windmill underneath here. That is where everything is going to be gathered. That's where everything is going to be compacted down into the barrels that can be made with the Farmer's Delight. If I just show you those. Here we go. So we can make crates of carrots, crates of potatoes, which compacts them down nicely for us. And then from there, underneath this windmill, they will again get transported to this patch of land over here that I said before is where the train station is going to be. So we're going to have a warehouse on the top. That's where everything will get stored. And then underneath this, if I just bloop down here, nobody in here to kill me. Nope, good to see. Come down here. This is where a train's going to be able to come in. And if I go down to there, right down at the bottom of this track is going back to the tunnel on the other side. You know, the one that I made one block too high, that one goes in that direction. And so what'll happen is all of the crops will come to here. They will then be able to get fed onto the train. This is just going to be a stopgap. The train will then move on somewhere else. And this is just going to be where it picks up crops from. That is the plan. So back over here with our windmill though, we know where all of these things are going to go. We know that this is where the crop area is going to be. What I need to do is integrate as well our irrigation system. So I want to be able to have little channels that run out of here. So if I've got a spade on me, I've got an inventory full of rubbish as per usual. So we're then having channels that come out from that little pool, then they can go down and they're going to funnel down and split off in different directions so that they're able to irrigate our crops for us. Seems like I still need to plant this little bit up. But if I just quickly go up, we can see that already we've got plenty of space for wheat around here. This is probably going to be potatoes and then carrots around there. Nice and easy to get started. And certainly it's this crop side of it that needs to be done first, so that we know what level it is they're all going to be gathered at, so that we know what level we need to put the inputs out and the outputs, and basically get this stage started before we can start working on warehouses and compactors and all of that sort of stuff. Oh, it's exciting. I love it when you've got new projects on the go and you're just sort of working at them and working on how you're going to do them and how it's all going to fit together, how it's going to work in with your world as well. That's just, to me, the absolute best part of Minecraft. This is when it gets really interesting. But for now, I think that's where I'm going to call this episode. Happy Minecrafting, everyone, and I'll see you again soon. Bye-bye!